Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my June TBR. I should say that May is not going as a really good reading month for me because I was kind of in a slump in the beginning of the month and in between it got better, and now when I'm filming this video it's not that great for me. Still, I have 10 more days of May left, so I just hope that it gets better. Because of this reason, I've selected only really interesting books for me to read in June because I don't want to be in a continued slump in the next month also. And yeah, I am filming from a new background this time because it's getting kind of boring for me also to always film from in front of the bookshelf itself. After you've done watching the video, please do let me know down in the comments whether you like the new background or not. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book in my June TBR is Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence, which is the last and final book inside the Book of the Ancestor trilogy. I've read only the first book, Red Sister, by the time I'm filming this video. Since I have 10 more days of the month left, I'll definitely start the second book, Grey Sister, also. From the first book, I can see one thing, that the series is slow, but the way in which the author has written it and set up the world as a whole as well as explain the characters is really interesting in every way possible for me. I cannot say that the series is entirely character driven, but it is very character focused as a whole. There are so many things that are just hinted in the first book, and I hope that all of them get fleshed out in the second and third books as a whole. From the reviews that I've watched so far for all these three books, everyone says that the series just gets better in the second and third books. And also I'm going to put out a review for each and every one of the three books in the series, so do watch out for them if you are interested. And if you have read the series before me, please do let me know down in the comments whether the second and third books are just as good as everyone says they are. So yeah, Holy Sister is the first book that I'm planning to read in June. Next we have one book which is also kind of like three books because it's a bind up, and it is the Dune trilogy by Frank Herbert. I know that there are 6 books in the Dune series as a whole, but this bind up has the first 3 books which are Dune, Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. I'm very interested in reading this series because I have heard really mixed reviews for Dune as a whole, and I also know that it is kind of a science fiction classic. Since the movie also came out last year, I've been wanting to read the books a lot more than I read before, and I don't want to watch the movie before I read the book, so I'm definitely going to read this in June. I know that it is kind of ambitious because all the 3 books inside this bind up are huge in their size, but I am going to try to read them. I've also planned to get the audiobooks and follow on the physical copy while listening to the audiobooks, but I'm not sure though. Many of you guys have been wanting me to read Dune and review it here, and I'm doing it for that purpose also because I've got a lot many comments asking me to read Dune. I just hope that it's worth all the hype. Let's just wait and see. Next we have a short story collection which is a part of a series, and it is the Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I started reading the Sherlock Holmes stories last year, and I read the first 2 novels which are A Study in Scarlet and The Sign of the Four. After that I read the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes because I'm trying to read them in the publishing order. I also have the entire collection narrated by Stephen Fry on Audible, so I'm definitely going to read this entire series by listening to the audiobooks also because his narration is really out of the world. I'd also highly suggest everyone to get that particular collection narrated by Stephen Fry on Audible because it is really exquisite in its tone. The way in which he narrates the story is the way in which he modulates his voice in order to provide the voices for different characters is really amazing. Of the 3 books which I've read so far, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which is also another short story collection, was my most favorite. I don't know why I did not continue on with the series last year, but I'm definitely sure I'll be finishing it this year. I also have the reviews for the previous 3 books in my channel already. I'll try to link them down in the description. Since it's also very short in length, I think that it'll be a good break in between all the big books that I'm planning to read. So yeah, The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes is the next book in my TBR. The next book is the first one in a YA urban fantasy series, and it is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. I know that there are totally 6 to 7 books in the series, and there is also a Netflix adaptation which is up to come. I'm not sure whether it is a movie or a series, but I want to read this book before I watch the adaptation because it sounds good for me. Here we have a world in which 2 children are chosen at random every 4 years, and they are taken to the school called the School of Good and Evil. Of these 2 children, one turns into a princess and the other turns into a witch. And most children are not interested in going to the school, and they are completely frightened of it because they don't want to turn into the witch. What happens here is our 2 main characters are chosen and they are taken to the school, and both of our main characters are best friends. Of this, one is going to become a princess and the other is going to become a witch. So I think the friendship dynamic that is explored within the characters will be something interesting to read about. And I've also heard that it is kind of Harry Potter-esque in its tone because of the school element again. I've not heard that many people talking about this on BookTube, but I definitely want to give the series a try. I only have the first book with me and not the rest of the books in the series. If I end up liking this, I might buy the other books or I might even listen to the audiobooks, but I've not decided anything solid yet. If you've read this before, please do let me know how it is in the comments below because I've not heard that many people talking about this here in BookTube as well as on Bookstagram. So The School for Good and Evil is the next book in the TBR. The last book in my June TBR is a non-fiction book, and it is Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. I've been wanting to read this also for over the past year, and I've heard really great things about all of Ryan Holiday's books, but this is his most famous book. It is also very short in length, so I don't think it will take that much time for me to read it. but I'm going to read it slowly and try to grasp everything that the author talks about, because I'm sure that everyone has an ego and I too do, and I want to deal with that ego in a proper way so that it does not affect my life in a negative way. I'm sure that most of the relationships that we have with everyone in our lives is affected by the ego that we have, at least to some extent or the other, whether it is personal relationships or professional relationships. I just want to make myself more aware of my ego and what taunts it and what helps that ego of mine in order to nurture myself well. So this is the last book in my TBR. Apart from these 5 books, I'll also be reading one other book which will be a book club pick. We've not chosen the book for June yet, so I'm not including it inside the video. And this month, that is for May, we are reading The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is the first book in an urban fantasy / supernatural series. I should say that I'm enjoying the vibe of the series very much, but I've not gotten that much into the book yet. I'm listening to the audiobook of that one, and the narration is really good. There are also some sound effects that are added in the audiobook, which just makes it even better. So yeah, that's it for my TBR for June, and don't forget to leave your June TBR in the comments below. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.